Welcome back, everyone, to your podcast, our podcast, the Popular Side Podcast. We're looking a little different today because
Yes, we are.
we have a guest. We have our first ever virtual guest, Mr. Anthony Sowah. Welcome, Ant.
What's up, fellas? Happy to be here. Happy to be the first special guest.
Virtual.
we we talk so much trash about sports. It's fun to bring it online and kind of be a little bit more organized about it. So happy to be here. I've been following you guys from the first episode. Never miss a week. So I'm going to try to keep up as much as I can.
Thanks for the support.
Appreciate that.
Yinka is still Yinka. Hey, Yinka, what's happening?
I'm good. It's been a gloomy week.
Yes, it has.
In Nigeria. From a weather standpoint, it's been raining for like a week in Lagos. And apart from that, I'm sure everyone is aware of the incidences that happened. The footballing world had, we lost a couple of people, and it's been tough. But I'm hanging in there. You? I
was away last week. It was on a cruise, family reunion, wife's family. It was fun, 7 days. But was with a bunch, well, not a bunch, a couple, 3 Liverpool fans when the news hit. So that was tough. I don't think you had to be a Liverpool fan to feel something when you heard about Diogo Jota. So let's talk about that first. Obviously tragic, 28 years old, car accident with his brother who was 25, also a footballer, D2 in Portugal. Just terrible. Some people have already started talking about how this affects Liverpool. I don't know how you make that cut over that quickly to talking about how this affects, but I'm not some people, so it is what it is. I don't know how you come back from this personally. So rest in peace.
Yeah. And the guy got married. Diogo got married 2 weeks earlier.
Yeah, 11 days before the incident.
11 days before the incident. In fact, his last post on Instagram, on IG, was his wedding photos, right? His wedding pictures. It's just a tough one to swallow, man. And the guy is a fantastic footballer. The guy, he kills Arsenal every time he plays. He plays against us. But man, we like him actually, and we keep saying he's the shortest, fantastic header of the ball that we've seen.
Yeah.
You understand? You remember we said this, that despite his height, he could still jump high and reach the ball. The respect was there, the love was there.
Yeah.
It's a tough one. So was that Thursday morning, I believe? I think it was Thursday morning.
I think so.
I think it was Thursday morning. Then
July 3rd, I think.
Then later
July
on,
3rd, yeah.
I think it was
July
Wednesday.
3rd will be Thursday.
I think it was Wednesday.
July 3rd will be Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday, okay.
July 3rd will be Thursday. So later on in the evening, then I got the one that really I just gave up. I just shut down my laptop. I just walked away. I didn't even believe it. And that was the news on the passing of Peter Rufai. So it was my brother that called me and said, "Oh boy, Dudu's gone." I was like, "Who? What do you mean?" And that one really hit me. It really, really hit me. So if you notice, there was a game last weekend at the Onikon Stadium where it was and Nigerian FA Cup final. It was Kwara United versus Abakaliki, one other team from the East. So there are a lot of footballing personnel. Their legends were there, And it occurred to me, I was like, Dodo should be here. Why is he not here? But I didn't say anything, Then unfortunately, we heard the news later on that he's been ill for a while, and he passed. And Ant, I won't lie to you, it was a tough one for me, because he was quite gracious to us when we invited him for the interview. He accepted. He came on time. He was humble. He was professional. He gave us his all. The information, the knowledge, the footballing knowledge. He spoke very well, and it's a tough one to swallow. It is a tough one to swallow.
I could see it. That was one of my favorite episodes, and I just could see how fortunate you guys and the love that was there from like being in a room with one of your idols. I couldn't even imagine having that opportunity. Yeah. But I'm excited that you guys got the chance to do it. And he seemed like such an amazing and humble person for the accomplishments that he had. So, I mean, sad to see for sure.
Yeah, sad to see. And that's what everybody said. Everybody was like, this guy is humble, he's well-spoken. I can remember that day when he walked in. Before he walked in, Akin was like, Yinka, are you sure this guy will show up? I'm like, don't worry, man. I believe he will, right? And when he walked in, right, Akin was starstruck. Speak for yourself now, young man. He could barely say anything.
I was.
That is the chatterbox before. He was silent for a while. You know?
I was in awe. It was, and I think I told you this when I got back from Nigeria. That trip, it was the most surreal experience I've ever had. I think in my sports watching life. I mean, the guy was a giant. One, he looked like he could get in goal right there and then, and still be very productive. And then he was telling us about his exercise regimen and his diet. And it's like he went straight from not playing to his retirement life, doing the exact same things he did on the pitch. And it looked like it. He was in such great shape. He put Yinka and me to shame, because, I'm like, this man is like 15 years older than we are, 15, 16 years older. And he looked in much better shape than we were. It was amazing. And then, of course, you get to his intellect, you get to his humility. It was a lot, but, okay. Yinka, we say, rest in peace. To both.
Rest in peace, Dodo Mayana.
Yeah, and Diogo.
Rest in peace, Dodo Mayana. Rest in peace, Diogo Jota. Yeah.
Yeah. And
anyway, so Aki, what do we have for the rest of the episode?
All right. So, Ant, I wore this jersey today in honor of Peter Rufai. This was the USA 94 Nigeria jersey. That was the zenith of his international career. It was amazing. But what do we have? Why is Ant here? So this is our basketball episode, right? And so quick introduction about Mr. Anthony. So Ant is we're not going to tell your business too much, but I think our viewers will agree by the end of the episode is one of the best intellects out there on all things politics, sports, life, all of that. I call him my big bro because he's much older than I am, much older. But I go to Ant.
I have one more much.
Much. I go to Ant for advice all the time. But he's especially intellectually strong on all things basketball. So we thought, who better to bring on this special basketball episode than Mr. Anthony Sowah. So we're going to start with the current NBA landscape, and let's just talk about free agency. July 1st was the first day of free agency. Lots of moves. Who would you say has had the best free agency period so far, and why?
Okay, so NBA free agency to me is like it's what separates the NBA from every other sport. NBA more, maybe not more than soccer, but it's a year-round sport. in this kind of free agency summer period, I think has more excitement than the regular season. People
That's
always,
crazy.
the regular season is a grind. It's 80 games. It's 80 games. So people get more excited to see who's going to get traded, who's going to move, what the free agency is going to be. So ever since I started watching the league, this was kind of, the time of year where the hope is sold. So that being said, this year I looked at the free agency landscape from the factor of East versus West. So two completely different situations. I think in the East, probably the team that had the strongest, and there's different reasons. This contender who had the strongest free agency to me is the Atlanta Hawks. They kind of had a season last year where you could see kind of the potential. Now with the top team, Indiana, going out, Tyrese Halliburton is hurt. He's out for the season. It kind of opened the door, and also Boston, Jason Tatum being hurt. It kind of opened the door for new contenders to come through. I know Akin hopes that the Knicks can squeeze through, but based on these moves that the Hawks made, they have a team that's designed to take on Boston, and New York. They have all tall guards, very defensive. They brought in Nickeil Alexander-Walker. They brought in Kristaps Porzingis. So they have the rim protection. They have a whole team that's designed to kind of protect Trae Young and kind of to accentuate what he does and what he brings to the floor. So I think next year is going to be his best year in the league. I think they will come into the playoffs, barring injury, as a top 2 or 3 team in the East, just based off those moves. And so, in the East, I think it was them kind of by a far stretch.
Wow. Okay.
Sorry, bro.
No, hey. You said a lot. What about?
Do you agree with him?
No, let's have him tell us. You want to break it down?
Let's have him talk about the West. Also, okay. No. Okay. Let's let him go with the West. So, Ant.
Okay, tell us the West, and then we'll jump in. Yeah.
The West for me was a little bit tougher, just from the standpoint of who's in the best position, who put themselves in a better position to win next season from free agency. I mean, the obvious thought is Houston, Kevin Durant, adding to like a young core. But I looked at it much more closely, and I'm going to say the Lakers, believe it or not. And it's not just who they brought in. It's kind of what they're bringing back. If you look at Luka, you've seen the pictures. He's lost 30 pounds. That should help him be fresher during the playoffs. It might be LeBron's next year.
Should be.
They brought DeAndre Ayton, who I wasn't sure would be a good match, but then I looked at some of his shooting habits and where he shoots from, where he operates from. I think last year he was 9th in lobs caught of all centers in the league, and he only played half the season. So that is a big compliment for Luka. He can shoot, he can catch the lob. If they can get him to play with more energy, then I think they have the big three with LeBron, Luka, and Austin Reeves to kind of give every team in the West problems if they can stay healthy. Yeah.
Good.
Okay. So
hot take.
One thing about Yinka, one thing about Ant is not a hot take kind of guy, right? He's a very thoughtful, almost professorial, kind of guy, right? But this is the but. Is also extremely, extremely optimistic. And this is the problem, right? Ant believes everyone else he's interacting with in the world is as smart as he is. But most humans are idiots. So he refuses to accept this, that most humans you interact with are not smart. This is not my fault. This is not what I want the world to be, but this is the world as it is. And humans refuse to do better. We just refuse to do better. Let me give you my own hot take. Indiana will surprise everybody.
Yeah.
I know Halliburton is, I know he's the flavor of the month, blah, blah, blah. This is not disparaging the man, right? They have the best coach in the league, bar none, right? The front office know what they're doing.
Easy.
Right? And they're not up against either of the aprons. Right? So they don't have to break up the team. Mm-hmm. They don't really have to do anything. Right? So I love Haliburton. I hated the disrespect when people called him the most overrated player, blah, blah, blah. That was just dumb. I mean, even when you watched him at his lowest, it didn't make sense, And then when you're seeing
it, because of his dad.
Yeah.
Now, if you look at
it was because of his dad. And also, if you look at the Pacers, they already got rid of their center who signed with the Bucks. What's his name? Miles Turner, right?
Yep.
So Miles Turner was, in my opinion, was a focal. It was an instrumental part of the way Indiana played, because he's a big that can stretch the floor, right?
Right.
And he can also go down in the post and slug it out with the big ones,
Right.
So that particular move was devastating for me. I thought initially he said he wanted to stay with the Pacers. And all of a sudden you go to the opposition, because the Pacers, the team they hate the most in the NBA, is the Bucks.
Yeah,
and you then go ahead to the Bucks. So I don't know whether the Bucks GM and the back office, maybe they could have, opted to give him the money that he was looking to get, just to not let him go to the Bucks. Yeah.
Yeah. The story was that they didn't match. They didn't match the deal.
Exactly.
He gave them an opportunity, and they didn't want to do it. So.
And they didn't want to do it because they didn't want to go above the first, or this is the second apron. Now, here's the issue with that. You have Haliburton out for, probably the whole of next year.
No, they've confirmed it today. He's not going to play next year. They've confirmed it today.
If he's not going to play next year, Miles Turner is not there. Those are two important players that you're getting off the Pacers. Two key players you're getting off the Pacers.
Siakam is still there. No?
So, you said this a couple of weeks back. You said that the reason why the Pacers are who they are is because of that college, that, how did you use the particular term?
Yeah, collegial.
It's like they have this
collegial environment.
Collegial. Yeah, they work for each other and the rest of it. Now you have two key people in that particular setup that Tyrese will not be playing because of injury. Miles Turner is going to Boston. I know they got a center from, is it the Grizzlies? I think his name is Hoff, the tall guy from Grizzlies. He can shoot. He's he's not a better version of Miles Turner, but he's okay. I don't think the Pacers are going to do anything next year, Aki.
I think they are.
So. They surprised all of us this season. So for me, I think they played above their level this season. And lightning hardly strikes twice in the same place. I don't think they'll do anything.
They didn't surprise me. Didn't they beat the Knicks the year before in the playoffs?
They did.
Okay.
They did.
So how is that a surprise?
That team's not coming back.
I'm sorry. Knicks is not, if Knicks for you is the threshold of, this is anybody that beats Knicks is good. Knicks ain't good. They're not good.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Right. But also, if you think about it just from a strictly like a number standpoint, if the starting five is 100%, they lost 40% of the production, 40% of whatever chemistry that made them so much of a threat for the last 2 years.
Absolutely.
And to just be able to replace that means that those guys weren't as valuable as we think they were and we say they were. So, I mean, just thinking that they can keep going. Now, I won't say that they won't make the playoffs. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. The East is weaker, but a contender, that would be. I mean, there's not enough coaching in the world. There's not enough coaching to overcome that.
Good point, and but going back to your take on the Hawks, I love your take on the Hawks. I actually also liked what they did. My slight issue with it is Porzingis, Kristaps what's been his availability over the past, I don't know, since he joined the NBA, right?
Yeah.
I'm not even sure he's fit right now. I don't know, right? So I get the defensive. They know that Trey is a defensive liability, and they decided to shield his defensive, inadequacies with strong, big guys that can defend. I like what the Hawks have done, but fingers crossed, if Kristaps is injured, I think it's just going to fall flat again. That's my take on the Hawks.
It's possible, but I think knowing that, it's possible and it's probable that they will manage his load, save his energy. He probably won't even start the season playing. Not that
Fair
always
point.
helps, but you hope that, maybe he can be rounded into his best form after the All-Star break and as they go towards the playoffs. I mean, they have decent guys behind them.
Do you trust their coaching in Atlanta?
Quinn Snyder?
Yeah.
I trust them enough. Based off what they did last season, it looks like they have a good plan in place. They just need the people. I mean, they had some serious injuries. Jalen Johnson, who's their second leading scorer, was out for, I think, half the year, if not a little bit more. And that kind of knocked them off place. They also have a first-round pick that belongs to the Pelicans next year. So, I mean, if not this year, I think the following year, they just are set up well for the future when it comes to the moves that they made and kind of the infrastructure they have.
All right.
Interesting.
So my quick pushback on the West, Yinka, and take on the West is, what do the Lakers have to do to get
my optimistic take?
Yeah, to get to where you think they're going to go, right? Because do you think this core can do it, or is Ayton enough? They got Ayton. Is it enough? Is Ayton been the number 4 option where it should have always been? And are you gonna say sorry to me for all the times you berated me when I told you about Ayton, and you argued it was a number 1 or at worst number 2? Now you're over here on a worldwide sports podcast telling me this man is the best number 4. What are we doing, Ed? What is happening?
As you gain new information, then the outlook has to change. That's all I can say.
That's hilarious.
Absolutely.
That is too much. That is I actually like
4 or 5 years in his career, so
yeah.
But I'm a Laker fan, right? Full disclosure, right? I like the pickup. In given the circumstances, it's probably the best you could have done. Yeah. But I think Lakers' problem goes beyond the 4th option. The Lakers' problem is a gentleman called Mr. LeBron James. Yeah.
Ouch.
Oof.
That's a hot take.
I'm gonna be honest with you.
Okay. Say more.
Maybe not as hot, right? Okay. Immediately the season ended in his usual, like Aki will say, narcissistic,
passive aggressive, narcissistic.
He goes out and he throws everybody under the bus. And he says, it's not just about me and Luka. What about the rest of the guys? Do you really think those people are looking at him like, that's our leader right now? Do you really think that's the way they see him? Hell no. Right? And see, I don't care about age, guys. You're 45, you're 50, I don't care. You're taking almost 53, 52, whatever the amount is, $52 million of cap space.
Wow.
Then you need to put the numbers there. You can't do this. You can't do this. And you come in, there's this sudden passive aggressive stuff around. I might go back to Cleveland. I want to ring chase. Dude, come on.
It's not going nobody wants to live in Cleveland. Okay. He's never gonna live in Cleveland again. He's tasted LA, is not going back. You know what I mean? It's
that's right.
And remember the Chris Rock joke.
But I just think
you know what I'm talking about never going back. There's some things you don't go back to. He's not going back to Cleveland. That I know for a fact. You know.
But Aki, do you really believe that he will not ring chase, or he's not thinking of ring chasing right now?
He's done, bro. So LeBron was born in December 1984, right? He's about to be 41, right? So season starts in October. He will turn 41 in December. Where is he gonna go that can accommodate $53 million? just like that. And then I don't know.
Nobody wants him. That's the thing. Nobody wants him right now.
No, but one second, like Ant, I don't know how you feel about this, but 2 episodes ago when we talked about, or maybe it was the last episode, when we talked about the KD trade, I'm like, KD's a plug and play superstar. Because look, you can love him or hate him, but you don't have to change much basketball wise for him. Because when he says, I just want a ball, he actually means it. LeBron, you got to change everything. And that was when he was playing defense 10 years ago. Today, you really got to change everything. Because he doesn't do anything on the other side of the ball. And he dominates offensively. He just pounds the ball. And there's less variety to his game now than there was when he was in his prime. So, and then you got to pay him $53 million, and you only get him for a year, maybe 2. On the outside, maybe 3. So he's stuck. He's not, he has to make this work. He's not going to the Warriors. That's a pipe dream. And he's never going back to Cleveland. Who wants to go back to Cleveland? To do what? No. I'm not buying it.
Then if he's not going anywhere, then don't throw this passive aggressive. Don't do that. Do you understand? Be the leader of your team. Stand by your team. Stop all this. I might consider going somewhere else to chase a ring. Then you don't have to do that, man. You don't have to. So the Lakers have a brown problem. That's my take.
Well, I think that when you look at LeBron, it's the behavior he's learned. He's been in the league since 17. And what he's learned, just from the outside looking in, is he applies pressure to management. The only way he knows how to apply pressure is, I might leave. That's what they respond to, because he brings so much to every organization as far as fans, as far as sales and things like that. But when I look at if this could be his final season, I look at his career and I think he does as like a story, this story. We've been following him in popular sports, popular culture since he was in high school. We knew about him in high school. He's one of the first players, really the only player that I can think of that was hyped from high school that actually became the person that he was predicted to be. And even surpassed it. So if you have this storybook that you have been the person for the last 20 years from when you were a high school junior, and you are closing the book, I would think that what no one has ever done at his level, and you talk about like Jordan, Kobe, other people that you would consider like top 5 players, none of those guys have closed the book with a championship ring. And so when I look at the rumors that this could be it, when I look at Luka losing weight and working out with LeBron and getting on the LeBron program, I feel like it's going to be all in for him this year to try and get that storybook ending, if it's possible. I mean, he's 41 years old. Everybody's popping Achilles. Who knows? I don't want to put that on him, but like, there's no guarantee. But I think that he's going to put everything he has into ending it with a storybook ending with his son on the team, just go out that way.
Something.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't script it better. And so far, the script that he's written, is worked out, the highs and the lows. So I put more weight on that because he's made that stuff happen, but we'll see. Yeah, that's kind of what got in my prediction.
I actually like it. Go on.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, for me, naturally, it was, I thought about the Houston Rockets because I love the coach. KD's always intriguing to me. I know Ant likes their core. They were able to somehow hold on to, the best players on that core. Amen Thompson, Segun, everybody, so, and I really like the coach, and I would love to see what KD can do, but none of that is as interesting as LeBron. That's the reality of it. LeBron has been the most interesting topic in the NBA for 20 years, and it's not about to change. So so I think it's a great take, Ant.
So Ant, just to add to what you said in terms of teams in the West that I thought had a good free agency. So Akin, you've talked about the Rockets, which I agree with. But the Nuggets, they silently did some solid stuff. Over this free agency. Michael Porter Jr. was a headache for them. He You can't be paying someone, was it 30 or I can't remember how much
32,
they're paying him,
33,
and all you can do is
million.
just catch and shoot. Exactly. Right? So the fact that they were able to get rid of him and get a Cam Johnson, who in my opinion is a better basketball player than Michael Porter Jr., they brought back Bruce Brown, who made a mistake heading to, was it Orlando he went to or so? I can't even remember.
Toronto.
I think he went to Toronto, yeah. So getting Bruce Brown back, getting Tim Hardaway on a 1 year deal. I mean, in my opinion, you've kept you kept the point guard. What's his name again?
Jamal.
The point guard with Denver. Jamal Murray, right?
Yeah.
Jamal Murray, and you still have Jokic there. I think Denver actually got better.
I like it.
Yeah. So in my opinion, I think I like what Nuggets did. I like what the Rockets did. And in terms of, I think I agree with your take from the East standpoint.
Yeah.
I love what the Hawks did. The Cavs, I don't know what's happening to them. The potential is there, right? But it just seems as if they can't get it together when it matters the most. Yeah. With Tyrese injury, Halliburton's injury, right? I think the East is open for anybody that wants to take it. I don't even trust the Knicks. I don't trust the Knicks at all, right?
Right.
So anybody can take the East. I think the Cavs should do something better while this free agency still opens, because there's a big chance for them to come out of the East this year.
I think that their thing might be. Sorry. I just think that trading Garland is on the table for Cleveland. I think that's the big move that they're waiting to make. And I thought the same thing. It's been quiet, but also there's some value to wanting to run it back.
Yeah.
So,
Ant, what they remind me of, remember the 60, 62 or 63 win Hawks from, 8-9 years ago? Remember them? They had 4 All-Stars.
Yep.
Okay, that's who they remind me
Horford.
of. Yeah, those guys, right? That's who they remind me of. They blew their entire load in the regular season, and then the mismatch. Obviously, Spider got injured. That wasn't their fault. But then the mismanaged games, and you can't afford to mismanage one game in the playoffs. They did it twice. And sometimes all you need is to mismanage one game, and then you saw the Pacers were the team of destiny this year, right? They didn't win it ultimately, but they were the team of destiny. Like, you gave them a little bit of an opening, they just didn't let it go. So I feel like they don't have dogs on that team, right? I think Spider is a dog. I think the other guys are highly paid, nice players. And there's zero dog in them. Zero dog. They're not going to punch anybody in the mouth.
Ouch.
No, but it's the truth. I love Garland.
Darius Garland?
I love to see him play, but it's not about to get in a scrap with anybody. Mobley, nice kid. It's not about to knock anybody in the mouth. That's not what they do. That is not what they do at all. There's no dogs on that team. Spider is the dog. He was the man coming back from injury, and he was the one diving for every loose ball. It was sad to watch, so they need to figure out, and the NBA, and we can still talk about this when we talk about the NBA at large, but the NBA right now doesn't give you a year or two to figure it out. Once you pay people, you got to win now, or you got to do something else the next season. It's a fascinating time to be watching the NBA, because it didn't used to be like this, so.
Right.
All right. So let us.
If we flip this, and we go to the people that didn't, and we can just quickly run through this. The people that didn't do anything, the people that had a disastrous free agency. And I'll start with you. So who are your picks for this?
I think the worst by far to me is Sacramento Kings. And the reason why is personal for me. I grew up before the Wizards were the Wizards, they were the Washington Bullets.
Yeah.
My hometown team, I'm in Washington, D.C., and every year from my childhood, when I started watching this team, they would win between 36 and 43 games. Every year they would be in the middle. Sneak in the playoffs, 8th seed, 7th seed, lose in the first round. Because in those days, the playoffs, first round was like 3, best of 5.
Yeah.
So they would lose and they would never be bad enough to get a really good player. But then they would never be good enough to contend. And I feel like that's what Sacramento is right now. Sacramento is just in the middle purgatory. They will probably be in the play-in. They have DeRozan. They have Zach LaVine. They brought Dennis Schroeder. They have Sabonis, of course. That team is just good enough to be 8, 9, 7, but a first-round exit, definitely. And I just feel like I'm disappointed because they don't seem like they have the balls to tear down and start over. Next year's the biggest draft, and I know we say it a lot, but there's 4 what we think possibly would be franchise players coming next year. Next year is the year to be bad. It doesn't have to be a 5-year rebuild or whatever, but you want to get one of those 4 guys, and by making the playoffs, you won't have a chance because you can't trade your way into the top 4 or 5 after the season for one of the guys that they have. Everybody they have is older. So I just feel like, they didn't have the courage to hit the reset button, and that's like, I feel bad for their fans because I've been through it. And I'm excited my Wizards are now doing the right thing, but just being in that middle is like the worst place to be. Chicago Bulls are also in that category, but not as bad.
Yeah.
Yinka, you want to go next?
Do you think?
You want me to go next? So for me, in the East is the Knicks.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, is the Knicks. I'll just tell them myself because I know people have been clowning me because of what we're doing with our coaching search. Apparently we don't have a plan, blase, blase, blase. And we fired a guy that nobody liked. I've never met a human being in the world who ever defended
Even the players don't like him.
Never defended him. They started liking him after we fired him. This is how humans are, So this is why I don't trust anybody, But anyway, no. But for me, it's like, what can we do? You can make Cat not be Cat. You know what I mean? I just don't see us. I don't see us improving. I don't see us getting better. I think our point guard has played out of his skin already. I don't think there's another level for him to go to. It's just going to be more mistake prone, trying to do more and more and more by himself. Maybe Robinson comes good, but he's never going to be able to shoot. Cat is never going to defend anybody, and our impact guys are going to make $400 million between them. OG Anunoby is on $221 million. That is insane. I'm sorry. I've been telling Ant this, like, I'm an expert on Nigeria and Nigerians. That man does not like basketball. Okay. He plays basketball because
he likes the money.
Because basketball pays an insane amount of money. He does not like basketball at all. Like OG Anunoby, I can tell you right now, will not get better than what he is now. Okay. If he has a little bit of an injury, he's going to sit his ass on the bench and not get up. Right? He does not love the game.
Come on,
it's the truth. It's the truth. And his twin brother that everybody loves so much is about to get $200 million too. So we're about to put $400 million into defending a man who is currently not playing. Because that's why they got these guys. They got them to go defend the wings in Boston. And now the wings in Boston is about to be one wing, maybe next year. So
or no wing
at all. So the Knicks are in trouble, right? Is all I'm saying. The Knicks are in trouble and there's nowhere to go. We have to win. If you don't win, this was a waste. So the coaching thing is a distraction. It doesn't really matter who coaches. Those guys are not going to play, So the problem is you are putting you've put the value of a max player in these two guys. And that's the problem, Hopefully it works out. I don't know. I love the take on Sacramento. What I cannot forgive is having the opportunity to have Halliburton and De'Aaron Fox in your building together.
Yeah.
Now I'm making it work. And in my opinion, I know people love Sabonis. I'm partial to point guards who can control the game. I'll always be partial to. I'll always be. So for me, they turned one of them into Sabonis. It's nice for fantasy purposes. Does it impact winning? So for me, I feel like they lost those two guys for nothing. That's how I feel. I don't know how you all feel. So those would be my two.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with both of you, your takes. So I'm not going to reiterate or repeat what you've said, but I'll just add one more team to it. I don't know what's happening to the Grizzlies. I don't know. So they traded Desmond Bane for popcorn. Let me just put it that way. I think it was KCP, Anthony Cole, and who was the third person on some picks, right? So in my opinion, the main Desmond Bane is not a flashy player, but that guy can shoot lights out, right? And though he's not the biggest or the tallest, he puts in effort defensively.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, the combination of Jaren Jackson Jr. and their point guard, who rather carry guns all over the place than play basketball.
Ouch!
That combo is a disaster waiting to happen.
Oof.
Because you've handed the keys to the organization to those two. They just paid Jaren Jackson. They extended him 5 years, I think, right? And I'm like, what are you guys? What is the objective?
You can't lose.
So
him,
you
can't lose Jackson. Unfortunately, you can't.
I get that, right? You talked about Sabonis earlier on, right? I think Jaren Jackson is just a black version of Sabonis, right? He ain't getting you nowhere.
You're not wrong.
That's my point. He ain't getting you nowhere, right? So I look at them, I'm like, you guys are not moving forward, you're moving backwards, right? So Grizzlies won for me. The Nets, for obvious reasons, I'm not even going to go into detail about what's happening with them. The Nets, we don't have the time. And the Jazz, right?
Oof.
And the Utah Jazz. They should just take the franchise away from Utah at this point. I don't know what's going on with them. Seriously, what has been the last time Utah were relevant was when they had Derek Williams and Carlos Boozer.
But you know what? When you think about that, the last time they had those guys, they had to draft them. They can't get free agents.
That's very true.
Even their number one pick, Ace Bailey, didn't want to come. So the strategy that they're doing to lose, they'll be in a position. I think if they have a bottom 4 record, they'll be in a position to get a top 5 pick. This is their best way to accumulate talent. So I think after this year, they'll tank this season, and then next year I think they'll try to be competitive. They'll bring vets and overpay someone to try to come in and help them get a winning record. But they don't have a choice, in my opinion.
Let's hope Adam Silva lets them, enjoy their tanking. Right?
Ouch. Yeah.
The Dallas Mavericks did not tank. They got the number 1 pick, right?
Well, yeah. That was predictable.
We know what happened. There. Okay.
But this draft is 4 deep, so there's hope.
Yeah, it is.
So,
it is.
Yinkan, and I'm doing a quick time check, so I'm going to ask that the next topic, we just do like a rapid fire, right? Limited analysis, quick answers, all right? So,
yes.
We've talked about best free agency. We've talked about worst free agency, I believe. And we've talked about East and West. So we're well covered on that. So let's look at next year, right? So I'm going to start with Yinka, actually. Who is coming out of the East? Who is coming out of the West? Yinka loves to sit on the fence. You can't do that on this. You got to give me a team.
So for the West, right? I think OKC are going back to the finals. Yeah. So that's my pick for the West. It's safe. I'm not sitting on the fence. I picked someone this time around. Right. And I'm actually going to say for the East, I think the Cavs, they've gotten to the point where, you've had 2 disappointing seasons back to back. I think they're going to surprise people this next year. And I think they're going to get out of the East.
Okay.
That's my take.
Thank you, Mr. Ant.
Well, I'm sticking with my free agency winners. I think East is the Hawks.
Wow.
And West is very, very tough. For me, it wasn't OKC wasn't in the decision making. It was between the Lakers and Dallas, and I think Lakers. Wow. I just think the storybook ending.
I like it.
So Lakers, Hawks.
The three of us are gonna all have different answers. So for me, the West for me is the Nuggets.
Okay.
Yeah, the West is the Nuggets, and a lot of this, there's a personal bias here. I think you both know who my favorite NBA player is Aaron Gordon. This man gives me so much joy when I watch him. I'm like, this is how I think people should play sports. Reckless abandon, within the system, all of that stuff, all at the same time. I love everything you said about their free agency. I love getting rid of MPJ. I'm not going to embarrass and tell you about how many arguments we've had about MPJ, and yeah, you can already guess what side of the argument I was on. No, but I love taking that money and turning it into something else, so that, and I think Jokic is an all-time great, and they've lost 2 game 7s since they won everything. So they're close. They've lost 2 game 7s. I think it just needed a little bit of help, which I believe is now getting. And this is not any knock on OKC. Love them. They're great. They're not losing anybody, but I think Jokic is the best player, in the East, in the West, in the league. And I think for the Knicks is now or never. So I'm going to have to say the Knicks coming out of the East.
Biased pick.
It might be, but it's now or never.
Yeah.
Okay.
You just threw Cat under the bus, and you're telling me he's going to come out of the East.
We'll do it. We'll do it in spite of him. Calm down.
Okay.
In spite.
No problem.
All right.
Let's move on.
On this next one, also rapid fire, starting with Ant. Who's gonna win it all?
Lakers.
I like
just it. For the reasons I explained earlier.
You're my guy. shake my hand. You're just giving me hope when I didn't have any before.
I'm not a Lakers fan.
Hope.
Yeah,
I'm not a fan. Just pure.
I love it.
I think this is the year.
I love it. I
think this is the year.
All right, thank you.
I'll take it.
Yinka, who is yours? Who's winning it all?
I think OKC will repeat.
Oh wow, that's strong take.
Yeah.
For me, I think unfortunately it's not going to be the Knicks. I don't think the Knicks can beat the Nuggets. So if it's Nuggets versus Knicks, I think the Nuggets will win. Unfortunately, but I think the Knicks will be in the final. But I think the Nuggets will win. Okay. That was fun.
Okay.
Cool. I'm struggling a little bit with technology today, but we're gonna push through. And we're gonna change course a little bit and leave the current NBA landscape behind and talk about all-time NBA starting 5. You get to choose 2 teams. So, what's your all-time NBA starting 5, and what's your all-time NBA reserve? I guess 1 through 5.
All right, so I'm going by positions, right?
Yes, I think that's a great way to do it.
Point guard. Yeah. Just to organize it in my mind. Yeah. So I have Magic Johnson, Jordan, of course, LeBron, Tim Duncan, and Hakeem Olajuwon. That's my all-time 5. And the caveat, I have to base it on guys that I actually have seen play. So no disrespect to Kareem, Oscar Robertson, Wilt, those guys. I just never saw them. So I can't put them in my all-time. Stats would say that, Bill Russell, someone like that should be there. But for people I've seen, that's my first 5. Now, should I get my reserves?
Yeah, sure.
My reserve squad is Isaiah Thomas, Steph, KD, Larry Bird, and Shaq. And that was tough. Shaq was dominant, but I feel like he underachieved a little bit. But still, with what he gave, he can't really be pushed out of being one of the top 2 or 3 centers, especially that I've seen. He's probably number 1, but Hakeem, I can't put anybody over him. He was one of my favorite players next to Patrick Ewing. So those are my guys.
Mm.
Who you got?
Interesting. I was just going through my list now, and I realized that I had Duncan in both Team 1 and Team 2. Now I'm confused. I just saw the list. I'm like, how did I end up with Duncan in both both teams?
He was that dominant.
So it was that dominant. So anyway.
Okay. All right.
For me, the point guard on Team 1 is Magic, obviously. Magic, okay. Point guard, shooting guard will be MJ.
Okay.
MJ shooting guard. Small forward, I'm gonna go with Braun, right?
Okay.
Small forward. Power forward, Duncan. And center, I had, and I'm gonna be honest here, I had Hakeem / Kareem. Yeah?
Can't do that.
So
there's the fence.
You're cheating.
The fence thing.
You're sitting on the fence.
That's the fence thing. but I'm gonna go Hakeem, actually.
Okay.
Yeah?
Okay.
So I'm gonna go Hakeem also.
I'm writing this down, by the way.
Hakeem is okay. So that's just to reconfirm. That's Magic, MJ, Braun, Duncan, Hakeem. Yeah.
Okay.
And Team 2 for me will be Steph, Kobe, Bird, KD, and Shaq.
Steph, Kobe, Bird, KD, Shaq. Okay. All right. You guys are you guys are disappointing, both of you. So this will come as no shock to either. Well, it will come as no shock to either of you, but Steph would not make either of my teams. That is not. Even
Steph wasn't on his team. Steph is on mine.
Steph was on mine. He's on team 2.
He was a shooting guard.
Steph was on your team too. Okay.
On the second team.
Okay.
Because I'm like, if you play Zeke and Steph, I mean that would be like.
Give us your list before you start critiquing us.
Can I critique
Can you
first?
give us yours?
Can I critique
us? Give us your list.
Fine, I will stop.
No,
I will stop the filibuster.
Team.
I'm just so disappointed.
Come on, man.
I'm just so disappointed. All right, so all time, I'm gonna go Magic, number 1. My 2 will be Jordan. Mm-hmm. My 3 will be Braun. My 4 will never, ever, ever be Duncan. I don't know what you guys are doing, but whatever. But I'm gonna cheat a little bit, right? And go. Can I speak? Can I speak? I'm gonna go Hakeem.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna go Hakeem at the 4, and I'm gonna go Wilt at the 5. So that would be my first, and then my second, I'm gonna put Shaq and Russell, because I got to get both of them in. So that leaves just 3. So I'm gonna get Bird in there. I'm gonna play KD at the 2 because it's my team. I can do whatever I want. And I'm gonna put Zeke at the 1. So it's Magic, Jordan, Braun, Hakeem, and Wilt. And then Zeke, KD, Bird, Russell, and Shaq. You're welcome. I fixed all your errors.
Ant and I went in my opinion, the logical way, because we didn't say who are the top 10 players. We said starting 5, NBA All-Team 1, right. All-Team 2.
Yeah, that's what I did.
What is Hakeem doing at the 4? What is Russell doing at the 4? What's Shaq doing at the 4?
Please tell this man about, what was it, Phi Jam Slam or whatever it is. You were old enough to watch them. Hasn't Hakeem played in a Twin Tower setting for school?
He played
and
Twin Tower, with Ralph Sampson. Yeah, he did.
What are you talking about?
Time out.
Go on.
Time out. Hakeem, so you're telling me that Hakeem at the 4 is the greatest 4 you've ever seen? That's what you're saying?
I think Hakeem is better than everything than Duncan. Doesn't even matter. Well, tell me one thing Duncan does better than Hakeem. I'll wait. Don't just say Duncan because the commentators on TV say he's the greatest power forward ever. Where was he better than Hakeem? One thing, he didn't block shots better. He didn't rebound better. He didn't pass better. And he definitely didn't score better. He didn't lead better. That's 5 different.
He probably is a better
He wasn't a leader. Where was he better than Hakeem?
How?
Where was Duncan better than Hakeem?
How many rings did Duncan
Hakeem won 2.
He wasn't a leader?
Was he was he a leader?
And hold on. Don't let's even go through the rings perspective, right? It's like it's you saying that because Hakeem played the 4 a couple of times, right? So as a 4, he is the better 4 than Duncan. What is the typical way a 4 plays, right? It is a bit further from the basket than the 5. The 5 is under the rim.
You're missing. There's a big gap in your argument. I'm sorry. There's a big gap in your argument, right?
Which is what?
And I'm disappointed because you're being ahistorical. Why did we start calling this man a 4? Tim Duncan. It wasn't because he played with Robinson. It was because he didn't want to bang with Shaq. So he came in an era where all the big men said, I'm not a 4. I'm sorry, I'm not a 5. Because nobody wanted to see Shaq.
Who wanted to bang with Shaq?
Nobody wanted to see Shaq.
Show me someone.
I don't respect this cat. I don't respect this cat. All of a sudden, everybody's a power forward.
No, so show me somebody wanted to bang with Shaq.
So I don't respect him. I do not respect him, Duncan, because he cried all the time when Shaq touched him. I don't respect this cat that played in that era. It was too much crying, too much flopping. They couldn't handle Shaq, but instead they're I'm a power forward. I'm just going to shoot. No. It was not as athletic as Hakeem. It was not his offensive game wasn't as sophisticated as Hakeem's. It wasn't better defensively. It wasn't better in anything than Hakeem. I'm still waiting for you to tell me where it was better than Hakeem. You can't.
I don't think it's the better point. It's the position. It's the position. No matter how he got to power forward, that was his position. Hakeem was a center. You never would hear, even though he played Twin Towers, he was a center his whole career from college up to the NBA. So, I think the positional thing was really kind of throwing your rankings off.
And to add to your point, right? So the jumper, right? And once again, is because Duncan plays a bit further from the basket. He had a better jumper than Hakeem, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, Hakeem, in terms of footwork in the paint, nobody's near Hakeem. We get that. In terms of defensive, play, blocks, and the rest of it, yes, Hakeem is better. But in terms of rebounding, Hakeem is not clearly better. The fact that you're taller doesn't mean you're better. Do you understand what I'm saying? Dennis Rodman ain't tall. He can rebound the ball.
Right? Do you want to check?
What's his name?
Do you want to check
Tim
that?
Duncan is not the same height as Hakeem.
Do you want to check that? Tim Duncan was a 7-footer. It's a wash between
check
them.
What?
Do you want to check the rebounding thing before you say it with your chest?
Do you know this to be true?
I think Hakeem led the league in rebounds.
Do you know this to be true?
He led the league in rebound many, many times. I don't think Duncan ever did, but I would love to be corrected. I don't think Tim Duncan won a rebounding title not one time. I will be shocked. I don't think I have to check, but we can fact check ourselves next week. But I don't think so. You guys are struggling to tell me where Tim Duncan was better than Hakeem. They have the same body type.
I just told you now.
They have the same body type, so we're not comparing with Shaq.
No, I just told you. Hakeem under the rim is obviously better than Tim Duncan.
Hakeem was better
further
everywhere.
away from the rim is better than Hakeem. What else?
Really? No. The fact that you say
Hakeem
doesn't mean it's true.
Than Tim.
Does he?
Well, come on.
Does he?
Well, to me, But to me, I think you cheated a bit. Like with my first team, I had Tim Duncan and Hakeem, 4 and 5. You try to squeeze more people into your team because you're going with people you never watch play.
I did.
That's the problem.
No, I did cheat. I did cheat.
And you disrespected Kareem. Yes, you did.
Well,
and
that's
to,
fair.
To add to this, Hakeem, how many Hakeem games did you actually watch?
I watched Hakeem. I didn't watch Wilt. I watched Hakeem. I watched a lot of Hakeem. I watched a lot of later career. No, I did. I did a lot. I watched Hakeem a lot.
Exactly. No, that was when Hakeem was actually in the twilight of this career.
No.
That was when we caught him.
Yeah.
And it was mostly highlights, Hakeem. Right?
No.
It was mostly highlights. So this is what the rule says.
I watched from 94 on. I watched Hakeem. Okay. I watched Ewing and Hakeem a lot from 94 on. A lot.
But that was 10 years into his career.
I understand.
He came into the league 84.
I understand that. It's like Yinka made the counter 85. Argument when we talked about Pele, right? He came in 84. Yinka made a counter argument and 84. Talked about all the VHSs of Pele that we watched growing up. You know what I mean? It's the same thing. You know what I mean? So like the ones we didn't catch in real time, we watched a lot. But in real time, I watched a lot of Hakeem. But anyway, I don't want to over-index on this. I take the point on Kareem. I did disrespect Kareem. But I think Hakeem, I don't know, maybe because I'm Nigerian. I think, Wilt and Russell need to be there.
One more point before we move on.
Go on.
None of y'all had Kobe in your teams.
No. He will be on the third team.
I'm not a Kobe
be on the third team. Or, you know what? I'll fix that. I'll take KD
for me.
Both of you guys need to be checked.
No.
Both of you guys need to be checked.
If I may. Right. I'm taking KD out. I'm putting Kobe. I'm putting Kobe. You're right. KD out, Kobe. So Zeke, Kobe, Bird, Russell, Shaq.
You can have Steph and KD on your team ahead of Kobe.
No, I had Zeke. Zeke.
It's not acceptable.
Isaiah.
Well,
Kobe.
let me just tell you.
Yeah, go on.
The Kobe, the myth. No, Kobe has been elevated as a legend. I mean, he was a great player, but if you remember during the time, he was a very selfish player.
It was.
His style was selfish.
It was.
Look, Shaq got him his initial success. If he didn't end up in that place, I don't think he would have been. I mean, he came along at a time when the league was on his most down trajectory, probably second worst era in the history of the NBA after the 70s. 70s were bad.
Yeah.
The post-Jordan, very late 90s, 2000s was the worst. Worst work ethic because the contract structure was kind of off.
Yeah.
The players that they were bringing in, it was just a bad collection of guys. And Kobe was the most serious player of his time.
Was regarded as a real player. No, you're right. It was
right,
crazy.
Right. I mean, Paul Pierce, it was just by virtue of Kobe was serious in a league that was very unserious. And it's nothing against him. Like, he took advantage of the situation, but he wasn't like his attitude was probably less team focused than anybody that you guys have named out of all these lists. So for me, I can't reward that because I think we elevated him. I mean, some people even call him the greatest, which is to me
that's aggressive.
I could never even.
That's aggressive.
No, but there's an argument for that. There can be an argument for that. So going back to your point and what you just said, so I'm going to flip it a bit. Yeah. So, you said that it was a low period in the NBA and Kobe was the only serious person. Mm-hmm. You also said, and this is what I hear a lot of people say too, that Shaq won him his first 2 rings. And I'm like,
3.
Luckily, I watched these games. So it's not that, I heard or I watched these games live, right? And I remember the games against Sacramento Kings, multiple games against Sacramento Kings.
Yeah.
If remove Kobe from that team, the Lakers ain't winning any of those rings.
That's right.
None of them.
That's right. And also remove the referee cheating, and they won't win it either. So
that part.
So we can exactly. That's neither here or there.
That's true.
So when people, I know you will be happy with this because what's his name? This Fab Five guy is your guy, and
Chris
Webb. My favorite.
Chris Webb is your guy. So that's why you're saying this. So, but my point is, Kobe gets stick for stuff that is not necessarily his fault, right? And when he played with Shaq, he proved to people that when Shaq was unavailable, he did more than enough. So when people say, "Oh, it was Batman Robin," I'm like, nah, it's not that. It's not as if Shaq was up there and Kobe was down here. I watched those games, and in the first ring they won where they beat the Sixers with Iverson.
Yeah, 2001.
They beat them 4-1.
That was the third,
right?
That was the third, I think. Yeah.
What was Indiana the first one?
I think that was the third. That was the third.
Was Indiana the first one?
Yeah,
I think Indiana may have been
the first.
Yeah.
I think so.
Then Portland, then Sixers.
No.
Yep.
The Portland was the first one.
That had
Portland was the first. Portland was the first one. Because I used to joke that
I might be mixing.
I used to joke that Scottie Pippen opened the floodgates for them. Because if Pippen had done what a leader should have done, they would not even have made. So they beat Portland in the conference finals, but it may have been Indiana. It may have been Indiana in the finals. So it's both Portland and Indiana. Yeah.
So that third ring, he was responsible for guarding Allen Iverson. Right. Mm-hmm. The reason why LA won that was because Allen Iverson was held to normal numbers, not astronomical numbers like he normally would deliver. So a lot of people kind of look at Kobe and be like, "Oh, it was because of Shaq." And with the selfish bit, and I hear you. Well, would you want to tell me Michael Jordan, who everybody acknowledges to be the greatest of all time?
Don't do that. Not the same.
Oh, really?
Don't do that.
MJ was a team player.
Don't do that. Not the same.
We all watched The Last Dance this week.
Not the same.
MJ was a team player.
I agree.
Very different.
I agree.
Very different.
I agree.
How is it not the same, please?
I think it comes down to.
How is it not the same?
I think we're spending too much time on this, but I think it comes down to leadership. Like, there's levels to selfishness. There's levels to it. There's the productive type, and there's the type that is not productive at all. Kobe's was not productive. Kobe was a solo guitarist in a team sport. That's the problem.
How can you reach that conclusion that it wasn't productive?
But Yinka,
what is your definition of productive?
Because he shot poorly, his shot selection was bad, the air balls. But we're speaking ill of the dead. I don't like this.
So
like
your team player, your supposed team player, who is Braun. Your supposed team player who is Braun. I'm not going to take any Kobe disrespect here, Akin.
I know.
And this is to you, Auntie, my guy. Yeah, I'm not talking to you. It's Akin I'm talking to. Braun, who is the supposed team player, right? Mm-hmm. What did it lead to?
Okay.
Who's more productive then?
Time out.
You see where I'm going with this?
I hear you.
Yeah.
I mean,
you see where I'm going with this?
And started this by saying that some people think this guy is in the all-time conversation. Some people don't. It is what it is.
Yes.
So I would say, out of respect for Kobe, I take your point, Yinka, and I moved KD out and I put Kobe in. You should be very happy. What else do you want?
I'm not happy. You shouldn't have even You shouldn't even anyway.
But I'm gonna call a quick audible. I'm gonna call a quick audible, right? We're gonna do a starting five of your favorite NBA players. Not the best of all time, but who did you like to watch? If you, and I know none of you are prepped for this, which is why I'm doing it, because I wasn't prepped for it either. So to give you time, I will go with mine because I already know what it's going to look like.
Okay.
Right. So I will go with mine. So my absolute favorite point guard of all time is Jason Kidd. Like I have just an unhealthy amount of love for this guy's game. I can't even explain it. I think that's how the point guard position should be played. Chris Paul is a close second for me. Now, if you want to start disrespecting people, I will fight both of you to the death if you say anything untoward about either of these guys. Shooting guard will be Jordan for me. Again, the pinnacle. The small forward will be Grant Hill. Like one, and Yinka and I did a what if segment early on last year, and we focused a lot on what if Grant Hill never got injured. Just unbelievable. Power forward, you already know, is Chris Webber for me, and then center is Shaq for me.
Okay. Let's see. So my list, I think to watch, I have some obscure guys.
Oh,
well, okay. Penny is well known. Penny Hardaway.
Yeah.
One of my favorite point guards to watch. He wasn't as good as long as he could have been. I guess injuries and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But he was my favorite point guard to watch. I thought he was like a prototype. Always wanted him to come to Georgetown, who was my college team, but John Thompson didn't recruit him. That's another story. My shooting guard, you guys won't know this guy.
We might.
It was Jeff Malone.
I do not know.
He was Never a Washington Bullet.
Nope. Yeah. Don't know.
Never. You got to look him up. And you know why I appreciated him?
Yeah.
Because he came along at a time, he was in the league before Michael Jordan. Maybe he came a year before Jordan, right? But his game was very fundamental. He didn't get to the bucket. He was just like a mid-range guy. Like almost think like Shea without the extra tricks. He just would get to 12 feet and it was automatic.
Wow.
Like I loved just the simplicity of his game. So I loved watching him. LeBron, of course, at the 3.
Wow.
C-Webb was always my guy. And then for center, I always loved watching Patrick Ewing. Favorite center.
My guy. I didn't know you liked him.
Yeah, that was my
I didn't know you liked him.
I love Pat, man. I've been a Georgetown fan since before I loved the NBA. So yeah, Patrick Ewing was my guy.
That's cool.
Yinka, you know, Pat is reason I'm a Knicks fan.
So for
Pat is the reason I'm a Knicks fan.
Yeah,
1994.
Yeah, you said so. You said so. So for me, might not be a point guard per se, but Allen Iverson was just Allen Iverson for me was, it was the microwave waiting to bust at any point in time. I'll put him at point guard. Definitely Kobe, right? I'm gonna add Kobe and MJ together since we're cheating.
Okay, so one of them. Okay, all right, that's fine.
One shooting guard, one small forward.
Positionless, I love
it. Center for me will definitely be Shaq.
Okay,
right? And surprisingly, I actually also like what's his name, Chris Webber.
Oh wow,
right?
Yeah.
I like Chris Webber. Although I was happy the Lakers beat Sacramento multiple times and he didn't win a ring.
Stop it.
Okay. So it's either him or Kevin Garnett. Between the two of them. But KG. I think I'll go see Webber.
All right.
Yeah.
So thank you guys. Sorry for the audible. I just thought about it. I'm like, this could be fun. All right, so let's crown our goats. But this will be a quick fire. We don't have a lot of time. No editorializing. Just tell us who your goat is. Yinka, go first.
Anybody other than Bron?
Okay, but you got to name somebody. It can't be anybody other than Bron. You got to name somebody. And Bron now plays for your team, so watch yourself.
Nah. Of course, it's MJ.
It's MJ?
Yeah, it has to be MJ. Yeah.
Okay.
MJ. Yeah. Michael Jordan.
All right. Ant?
Mm-hmm.
I go back and forth, man. I say LeBron.
Okay.
I say LeBron.
I say Michael Jordan. I say Michael Jordan. Do we just want to leave it there and keep it moving?
It would have been nice for us to slightly expatiate, but if you say we move on.
We can. Let's do 2 minutes. No. Let's do 2 minutes. So when we did,
and this is just to. I think we discussed this last week, Akin. Yeah. And Ant, you might have caught the episode where my major issue with Bron, I kind of tabled it. Yeah. So I don't need to repeat myself. That episode stands. So maybe you can tell us why you believe Bron is the GOAT.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's almost a quantity versus quality argument. He's done it for a longer time. He's taken the game more seriously for a longer time. He's been dedicated. He's gotten results in multiple places. He kind of has expanded the power that players have, which is an off-the-court thing, but I think it comes with the success that he's brought to the game.
Fair point. Fair point.
And I think that he has impacted more careers positively than Michael Jordan. I mean, Jordan has the rings. LeBron has been to the finals, 10 times in his career? So I give him credit for that. Just sustained excellence. Yeah. 1-4, yeah. I mean, sustained excellence to me, though, it's just like he's done it for a longer time. And to me, that's the tiebreaker.
Okay. So
fair point.
One thing I always said, Yinka, so for me, I think about, and look, anyone can like whoever they like. That's fine. I remember where I was when LeBron made his debut. Ant mentioned, what this guy has done over 20 years. I think in a way, he's kind of, I want to say this carefully, he's kind of diminished himself with the way he's carried himself sometimes, because this man should be like just undisputed, right? Like I remember where I was when he was playing Sacramento on his debut and said he's surpassed the hype. That's really hard to do. There's very few players in any sport ever who come in with that kind of hype, who meet the challenge, who surpass it, right? I think, what was it, like 20-8 in his debut, I think, I remember, and I'm like, the passing was just so elite, even on day one. So let me now tell you what I do not like about LeBron. It's every time he says, "Oh, I'm not even a scorer, but I scored all these points." Stop saying that. It's annoying as hell. Stop saying that, because for the last 10 years, you've been basically just a scorer. That's the reality of it. Like, we want to talk about the longevity, but we want to ignore what he's had. One, we ignore the medical science that made it possible. Props to science, right? Because this is real, right? And then we ignore the fact that it pretty much hasn't played defense since he made that block. Since he blocked that shot in 2016, he hasn't played a lick of defense. That is the reality of it. So he chills on one end of the floor. God bless him. If you can do it, $53 million to do half your job, it's wonderful. But because the internet only goes like skin deep, no one is going to challenge it. Everyone is just going to say, look at the numbers, So that, for me, that's my issue. But again, I said 2 minutes, so I'm going to stop.
Yeah, so we'll let it rest. I'm not going to repeat myself, right? So Aki, let's proceed. Let's move on.
So let's ask Ant this: is the NBA in a better place today than it was in the past?
Because I'm the OG.
Yeah, because you're the OG.
Because I'm the OG of the podcast.
But let's contextualize it a little bit. When we say in the past, obviously the NBA is better than it was in 1948. So we're not talking about that. But you talked about the MJ era, right? So let's say the MJ era, that was like the height, at least if you're looking at TV ratings. And then, you had the lull, you had the Kobe Shaq, things picked up a little bit. LeBron's Heatles was another height. And then the Golden State Warriors took it to another level. And now we're in this place now. Like, are we better now than we were with the Golden State Warriors, than we were with the Heatles? I guess that's the real question.
I think, to me, it depends on what you want to see. So the NBA instituted, and I'll be quick, the NBA instituted this apron system because they want to mimic the NFL. In the NFL, teams can get better really fast. There's parity. There's no dynasty in the NFL. Patriots was the last thing that we had close to it. But this apron system is going to force teams to change over in 4 years max. So for me, I don't think that's a better place. Where they're trying to go business-wise, maybe that works for them. And obviously they put research into it, and they kind of know what their fans want to see, and they know what's going to grow the game. So from a business aspect, I think this will be better. More cities get to get in on winning. More cities get to experience a parade. I'm still waiting for Washington, the Wizards, to get their parade. But as far as everything else, the style of play, I think we're getting back to a more balanced way of playing the game. The 3-point crazy style was a big turnoff. Sorry about that. But I think that now teams are kind of getting their own identities or separate identities and trying to do things a little bit differently from just following Golden State. So it's a mixed bag. I would say overall, I think the league is in a better place with a lot of room for improvement to come.
Wow. So, Yinka, do you want to go next and just tell us where do you think the NBA is? Things better or worse now than they used to be?
So, for me, I think the NBA is boxing itself into a corner in terms of, in terms of the number of games being played, in terms of the money that these young boys are being paid, right? Because at the end of the day, if you're paying people that high, then you need them to pay more games. So you can't eat your cake and have it. Yeah. So we get into a situation where the business side of things will take over the sporting side of things. Yeah. And if you're not careful, that collective bargaining agreement, you will need to come back to the table again pretty soon to kind of discuss how this will function going forward. Because right now, a lot of players are complaining that, we want to shorten the season. I'm sure we'll talk about that shortly.
Yeah.
But the owners are like, guys, we need to make more money, right? You're asking for more money, and yet you want to play less games. That is like you're speaking from two sides of your mouth. Yeah. So I think that's there's a culture thing, there's a mentality thing that's wrong with the players. And some people will even argue that it's not even the players at times that are pushing not to play games. It's actually the owners that be like, you know what, just rest up, play. Let's play in the playoffs. Don't focus too much on the regular season and stuff like that. Yeah. So that whole argument around that, it gives the NBA bad optics. The other bit for me is this tanking situation where people tank and because they want to get a good pick. I look at it, whatever happened to Dallas this year, guys, I don't want to be like people, one of those people that are rumor mongering, but you traded Luka and the next thing you get a draft pick. So the integrity of the NBA has been looked at kind of. People are like, are you really sure what's going on? Yeah. It's too good to be true that you trade Luka and you get the number one pick. Something is off there. So those kind of things are the things the NBA needs to look at. Yeah. And in terms of officiating, in terms of the play, the style of play itself, Aki, I'm not fine with the basketball that has been played today. Right? Because what you see is skill set to basketballers today is crossover, step back, or 3 steps back, shoot a three. Right? The fundamentals of the game, they're dying. Footwork. Everybody just gets a coach that can show you how to dribble, shoot a three, step back three. Right? I'm sorry, we were just talking about Hakeem, we're talking about Shaq, we're talking about Kareem. These are people that we're talking about Jordan and the rest of it. I look at the package now and almost every game is like the same thing. Dribble, step back, triple step back, shoot a three. It's frustrating at times, guys. It is. So in my opinion, I think the NBA needs to work on their brand, work on the product itself, or else they need to be careful. Christmas this year, there was an NFL game Christmas. Yeah. And remember, last year. And Bron was like, oh, Christmas is ours. I'm like, dude, if you're not careful, on Christmas Day, if NFL game is up, people will watch NFL instead of watching the NBA. I will watch the NFL instead of watching the NBA. I'm sorry. Yeah? So for me, that's like where I am with where the NBA is and what they need to do better. Okay.
So I actually don't disagree with either of you. I think you're both right? So there's a couple of things for me. So I think the problem with the NBA is the perverse incentives. Yinka, I'm glad you brought up that sometimes when players sit, it's not the players, it's the owners. Because, and it comes back, once again, LeBron was right, but for the wrong reason, right? When he talked about ring culture or whatever, right? It's all about that ring culture. Everybody wants that ring. Everyone thinks they deserve it. Whether they did the things they're supposed to do to get there or not, they want that ring. So the owners want it because why do they buy teams, right? Yes, the teams are worth more than they've ever been worth before. But you go back 20, 15 years, you didn't buy teams to make money, right? You bought it to have bragging rights. You had your money somewhere else. I'm more familiar with the Knicks, but 15 years ago, the Knicks were 3% of the holdings of the family that owned the Knicks. 3%. And that's the Knicks plus the Rangers plus MSG combined. Most of their wealth was somewhere else. The Lakers didn't really have any money outside of the Lakers. So now that the Knicks are probably worth close to 10 billion, maybe that's changed. But the cable company was where they had most of their money. The family that owned the Knicks. So that's changed. So there's a perverse incentive. These guys have so much money now, right? The owners have so much money. And then the players have so much money. Guys, there was a time, you go back to the 90s, for example, where NBA and NHL salaries were not that dissimilar, right? But a couple weeks ago, I think 2 weeks ago, the NHL MVP signed the 8-year, $64 million contract, right? $64 million is what an NBA superstar makes in 1 year now. The NHL MVP signed the 8-year, $64 million contract. They used to be on par, right? So there's a disconnect between NBA and NFL quarterback pay. It's not all of the NFL. It's NFL quarterbacks, NBA superstars. The money is stupid. It's too much. And I say that as a capitalist, it's too much. It is way too much. NFL quarterbacks make way too much. It's just and what ends up happening again? It goes back to LeBron. Everybody wants a big three, so everybody wants to squeeze in 3 max salaries, or in some cases, a combination of max and supermax. And then you've gutted out the middle income earners, and then you fill the roster with, back end guys making 1 million, 2 million. So that's why there's a problem when one guy sits, because so much of your money is in 3 guys. So if one of them doesn't work out, who's going to pick up the
Democratic socialism comes to sports.
No, for me, it's I think we need to get away from that perverse incentive of, I need that ring. Build the right way. Ant is a big proponent of, you got to build the right way. You got to be patient. Where we always argue is, do you need to be patient for 5 years or 7 years, or can you do it in 3? So for me, I feel like that's where I'm concerned about. I don't understand how every team can have 3 guys who in today's dollars make 35 million plus. Every team. You know what I mean? Some teams should not be paying anybody because they suck. You know what I'm saying? And that's the problem with the NBA. But the cap, I always hated, because I think you should pay people whatever you want to pay them. But the floor may be worse.
I don't disagree.
You know what I mean? Where you're you must pay people at least this much. That doesn't make sense to me. But that's my take.
I think the issue is, though, we can't complain about the money that they make. I think the issue, because look, it's 51% or 49% of total revenue. So that's set. Now, how you allocate it is a different argument. And look, the highest performers, the people who draw people to the arena, or who the team hopes will draw people, always are going to end up being paid at a higher salary. That's just business everywhere. It's just that the piece of it's a bigger pie that they're taking a piece of.
Yeah, I agree with you. But then if you're then being paid that those high salaries, then if the fans are demanding that you need to play 82 games, you most likely have to play 82 games. You can't be taking that much off the table, and you're not bringing as much to the table. You can't be cherry picking games. If I'm a fan, if I'm saving up, so let's say, for example, Lakers is coming to town. Let's say I'm in Washington, right? Lakers is coming to town. I've saved up. Then all of a sudden, LeBron pops into the arena and is in street clothes. As a fan, I'll feel somehow. I'll be like, this is the guy I came to see, But they're not worried right now because the revenues keep going up, right? The NBA is now a global sport, right? So even if people don't watch within the US, the league pass, I was checking the other day, the league pass revenue keeps increasing. The global audience is getting bigger, it's just, you need to watch the quality of the product that you're putting out there. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not, I mean, my opinion is not what it used to be.
Well, I think that when you talk about the players taking days off, they switched and tweaked the awards criteria. So guys have to play 65 games in order to be eligible.
I like that.
That ties back to their money. But I think what the league can do is if they just take a hint from like corporate culture, when in corporate you are out, we just need transparency. It's out. Yeah. It's publicized through your organization, through people. So we can say like, all right, we want to build in 10 games off for Shea during the season. And Shea doesn't load manage like that. But you just make it so that you prioritize home games where he takes off so that he can play the majority of the road games. And you publicize it ahead of time. These are the days when Shea won't play. You know what I mean? We can do it in corporate. We can say like a month, I'm taking summer vacation July 5th through the 12th. So everybody knows, everybody can prepare. So you put it out there early and fans know.
You pitch every fifth day. It's crazy. But I hear you.
No, I just think give fans advance notice of when players won't be there. So you can make a decision. I think the arena will still be filled if you say, Jokic won't play on this day. Just give people advance notice when and that's why I say it should be at home. Because you have 41 chances to see your team play at home. If Jokic is not going to play 10 games at home, fans are still going to come. Just don't cheat the fans on the road who only have 2 opportunities to see these guys
see all year round. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So
point.
One thing
I'm a solutions guy, so that's a solution.
I love it. I love it. So one thing, 2 things for me actually. I talked about perverse incentives. The way stats are done in the NBA, right? Your stats are per game, right? Not per minute, right? Because what this guy should be doing is playing as many games as possible, but playing fewer minutes. But when they play fewer minutes, for the most part, you get fewer stats. And that affects your money. So again, perverse incentives, So this guy should play as many games as they can. But instead of playing 38, play 35 games. That adds up. Those 3 minutes could end up being 10 real minutes. 3 game minutes could be 10 real minutes of rest. It adds up, but they're never going to do that because, stats are so important. And so I think that's a problem. The other thing, and I'm glad you brought up corporate. My old employers, Microsoft, just laid off. I want to get the number right. I think 9,000 people
9,000?
last Thursday. Yeah, 9,000.
Wow.
But only 4% of the population. They made something like 130 billion in profits the last 2 years. 130 billion. Right? So we've come to a point in the culture where profitability doesn't even matter. Like the NBA's money is completely detached from the quality of the product.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It's the same thing as when you're corporate, I hate your stuff, but your stock is still going up. Even though the company is poorly run, nobody likes the product, but the stock market is still blowing up. Or when people are hungry, people are hungry, people are complaining about the economy, but corporate profits have never been higher, so the NBA is now playing in that world where, the reality on the ground, like the three dribbles, step back 3 times, shoot, for me is ugly. It's really, really, really ugly.
It is ugly.
But the arenas are only 18 to 21,000. It will always be filled. You have to work really, really hard at being bad for 20,000 Americans not to come to your arena 41 times a year. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what's the incentive to do something different when the money keeps coming in? You know what I mean? It's like you have to want to do something different. Point. You have to want to do something different.
I agree with you. Yeah. I agree with you.
Okay. So we've kind of talked about game management. Should they shorten the regular season? It's 82 games now. Should they play fewer games? What do you think, Ant?
Absolutely not. No. No. You can't. I mean, you have to keep the continuity for records and stuff like that. I just don't. I think your minutes management is a better solution than game management.
Yeah.
Like you just have to keep the same number. And I'm always open to change, but like there's some uniform kind of protocols that you want to keep. And if it comes down to like letting other people play more or your stars playing 30 minutes, I think, 82 games is a standard that, listen, when we didn't have the kind of sports science we have now, guys regularly played 82 games and played the majority of the games without taking games off. So it's hard for me to believe, even though young people play more probably than they did
early on
in the past.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if that's true. Like in the past, people play more pickup. So I don't know that playing an organized game is more taxing on your body than a pickup game. I mean, if you think about the people we didn't put on the list, Kareem, Wilt, these guys growing up probably played 6, 7, 8 games a day in the summer. We complain about young kids playing 4 games in a weekend and like, oh my gosh, it's diluting the game. I don't see how that's valid. So, there's some things that maybe over-index for like just being basketball specific your whole life. That's probably more wear and tear. People play different sports and now they don't. Everybody plays the same thing year round. I think that's probably more of an issue that has to be looked at. But, when it comes to taking away games, I don't think that's going to help with injuries because if the guys aren't playing a game, they're still going to train. They'll still do some kind of physical activity that's going to tax whatever body parts are breaking down like at this crazy rate.
Well said, Ant. Akin, for me, I'd rather you lengthen the season, instead of starting in October, start a month earlier, right? So that you can spread the games out a lot more, or add 2 roster spots to the team, Add 2 roster spots, get more people on the bench, right? So you don't stress people as much. And it goes back to the point I raised earlier on. Even the style of play, the way people play these days, you're more prone to injury. You're more susceptible to injuries. The way you play, you plant your leg. The game is now so complex. The movement, the dunks, people flying and stuff. These cost more wear and tear than it used to. So for me, I'd rather extend the season, start in September. I think you should still finish in June. Start in September, increase the roster spots, right? There are solid players in the G League, right? That you can add to the roster. That's what I would rather see.
The coaches won't play them.
You reducing the games from 82.
The coaches won't play the scrubs.
Then if that's the case, you can't eat your cake and have it. Then you don't have anything to complain about. So you don't have anything to complain about. That's it.
Yeah. So for me, changes I would make. I wouldn't shorten the season. I think Ant is 1,000% right. We see this in baseball. Baseball went from 150 something to 162, and there's still debate. Hey, what's the real, what's the real home run number? It's a asterisk because they played 10 fewer games. You don't want that. You don't want that. But for me, I think what's insane is from the day the NBA playoffs started till the day a champion was crowned, Yinka, we did 5 episodes, 6 episodes? It's like 2 months.
Yeah.
And 2 months to crown a champion. It's crazy. And I'm like, so yeah. I wish we had more time to debate the best way to crown a champion, right? Is it a quote unquote playoff style? Because, and Colin says this all the time, like the best, basketball TV in this country is March Madness,
So I hear what you're saying, and I kind of agree, because I remember when we did this, we had like 3 months for the playoffs only. I think that's too long. Maybe the 7-game series should reduce to 5. Maybe, maybe that will help also. But I think these are the things that you should look at rather than, the regular season is the regular season. Not everybody will play in the playoffs, but that regular season has to stay 82. You can't. I don't think you can. I don't think you can tamper with that. Playoffs, yes, you can. Even maybe the playing, you remove the playing. It's extra games that we don't need. I enjoyed the playing. I love the stress and the the uncertainty and the high stake in those games. I really do. But if you tell me, Yinka, we need to get rid of it, I'll get rid of it in a jiffy. I don't have a problem with that. I'll get rid of it, right? But the 82 games have to stay. The playoffs, the 7 games can be reduced to 5. Just to make the players fresher, yeah. And seriously consider starting the season in September. Because, and check this out, the summer league ends in July, right? So the whole of the summer league ends, summer league is July. So the whole of August and September, you're just there doing nothing. That's one. 2, the playoffs ended in June, right? Yep. The people that are playing, that will play the regular season, don't typically play in the summer league. So these guys have like almost 3-4 months of holiday doing. I think it's too much, right?
To recover, yeah.
Yeah, started earlier, start in September, right? And let it still end in June. I think that's a better option, actually.
Yeah. No, I think that works. But if you count it, OKC will have played 100 games, and that goes to your earlier point. You don't have to start them full speed. You can start the season, let them play less. You have more guys, let your rookies play more, and ease them into the season for certain teams. And then you can get balanced that way, because teams who didn't make the playoffs, they come in strong, and maybe they get off to a better start.
Yeah,
and make it more competitive. So
yeah, and it's the style of play at times. The way, the movement, the moves that these guys want to do, right? The move that Kobe did to rupture his Achilles is similar to what Tyrese Haliburton did to rupture his Achilles. It's plans, move forward. These are complex moves. You're putting more stress on your body, and at times, playing through injuries, this is what it causes. You have a thigh sprain, you have another sprain there, you say, let me just play through it. This is what happens, yeah? So unfortunately, I don't think, with the way the current NBA is playing, or the way they play the game currently, I don't think these injuries are gonna reduce over the period of time. I don't think so. I think you will see more of this. Unless health science helps in getting people's body in a better condition, maybe that's the only thing that can assuage it a bit. But with this fast pace, the way people play, the way they fly over the place, the way they're dunking, come on, it's gonna happen. It's gonna continue to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but I do think that with sports science, where it is, with the AI analytics and things like that, I think they'll be able to identify kind of the movements. It's kind of like I equate it to, in football, the concussions.
Yeah.
Concussions were a big deal for a long time. It put stress on the league. And the scientists, the neurosurgeon figured out what type of impacts do it. They modified the helmet, they modified the techniques. So I think, to your point, these repetitive movements, they will break down what exactly is doing it, and they will modify the way that they train players to plant, how to take off. And I think you'll see that in the next 2 years. You'll see players moving a little bit differently just based on what they find on the repeated movements that cause these injuries.
Or could we get different game gear to help? Maybe the shoes they're wearing.
I think so. Yeah.
Maybe sleeves, knee sleeves, shin sleeves, ankle, all those kind of things. What do you think about that?
I think it'll come in. I think so, because just like in the NFL, they have these big puffy helmets, but also the regular helmet technology is different. The way they space out the pads and the inside. So yeah, I think that the shoe technology is going to change. I mean, they have so much data on, they have a shoe that you can put on that will measure pressure when you run. Yeah. Like from every point, from like 100 points in the shoe. So they'll figure out along the way, like, how can we re-engineer the shoe to reduce pressure on this place that stresses the Achilles? So you'll see it. I mean, you'll see it, like I said, 2-3 years, I give it, to hit the NBA, and then it'll come mainstream, and this will be kind of behind us. But this brings it to a point where, it's something that the companies, Nike, particularly, because I think a lot of these players are Nike athletes.
Yep.
It always comes down to the shoe. People always look at the shoe, and they don't want that reputation of, we are the shoe that is allowing our athletes to have popped Achilles over and over.
Yeah.
So,
good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
I think what's interesting to me is it's usually star players who are doing their Achilles and are doing their ACL. So again, it goes down. It comes back to, the number of minutes you're playing per game more than anything. Yeah. Because someone at the end of the bench is not popping the Achilles in practice. So it's, with Halliburton, and then the connection for me between a calf strain and a popped Achilles, I'm like, why was he playing? It happened with KD. It's directly connected. So once you have a calf strain, you need to sit. So I was not in the least shocked that this guy's Achilles popped. When he played on that strain.
I felt for him, though.
Of course I felt for him. I felt for him.
I understand why he would want to play. Yeah. I understand why he would want to play. And Akin, the truth is, there will be some people, if he had not played, that will look at him and say, you've been selfish.
I know, but you got to block out the noise. You have to. So there's got to be adults in the room. Now he can't play for a year.
And says Stephen A. Smith.
but you're not wrong. You're not wrong, Ant. You're not wrong. So for me, it was the most predictable thing ever. We saw it with KD. Yeah. KD he had a heavily bandaged leg. He should not have been playing. When you have a calf strain, I'm no doctor. It's directly connected. It's going to happen. But anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Inka, you want to take us out?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Thanks, everyone. Before I thank everybody, and thank you very much.
It was a pleasure to be here. This was fun.
Very, very, very insightful. Very knowledgeable. You helped me shut Akin up a lot today.
It's hard.
I think it shut you up more than it shut me up. I think
it takes a village. It takes a village.
It shut you up.
Oh my gosh!
We were in the same camp for the larger part of this discussion.
Yeah, we have to team up more often, man. It takes two.
Akin from time to time.
I get this all the time.
We'll love to have you back. We'll love to have not just talk about NBA, just talk about sports in general.
Absolutely. I appreciate
and maybe
you guys.
even go get outside of the sports environment and go into life in general. So thank you very much. Really appreciate that. And to our audience, to our listeners, thank you very much. We really appreciate. We've been blowing up on I think it's TikTok, right? Yeah, it was on TikTok. We've had some increased activity on TikTok, largely due to the interview we did with late Dodo Mayana. I can't believe I'm saying that.
It's crazy.
We appreciate the engagement. We appreciate the support. We pray for the soul of Peter Rufai and Diogo Jota and Andre Silva. May their souls rest in peace. Thank you very much, guys. We really appreciate this. And thank you once again, Akin. It's been fun as usual.
Of course.
Over to you.
Yeah. And thank you. This was amazing. Thank you for doing the work and showing up ready. I apologize for my connectivity issues. I think we'll be able to clean it up some. That hasn't happened in a long time. I don't know what was going on, but all good. As Yinka said, we need the engagement on YouTube. We're doing well on other platforms, but we need that YouTube engagement. So please, if you see us on other platforms, make sure you're subscribed to YouTube as well. And we would do more of these specials with the leagues, with the big leagues being off right now. And hopefully Ant can come back. And hopefully one day we do this, the three of us in studio. Very
studio.
Soon. Yeah.
In studio. So, that'll be fun.
Appreciate
that'll
you.
That'll be fun.
All right.
Fantastic.
All right. Bye, everybody.
All right, people.
All right.
Bye everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.